The territories of the Empire were initially settled by various human tribes, notably the Syriane and the Inghirsch. These were at some point subjugated by the Tevinter Imperium and fought alongside it during the First Flight. Andraste and Mafarath expelled the Tevinter Imperium from the territories of Orlais during the Exalted March against the Tevinter Imperium. These territories subsequently came under the rule of one of Mafarath's sons, Issaroth, who centralized the realm of the Syriani with large reforms known as the Grand Unification in 155 Ancient. Issaroth would eventually be assassinated and succeeded by his wife, Jeshathis, who is credited with the creation of the game. The Empire in its current form was created under the rule of Cordelius Dracon I, who was crowned emperor in 3 Ancient. He is responsible for the creation of the Chantry and the expansion of Andrastianism throughout both Orlais and the rest of Thedas. Under his rule, Orlais' borders were drastically expanded into what are now the Anderfels, Navarra, and the Free Marches. He also fought off the Second Flight, which began in 105 Divine. His son proved unable to maintain the gains of his father, and the Anderfels became independent in 165 Divine. A History of Orlais by Father Genitivi. Hello, and welcome to the 18th session of Victory, Vigilance, and Sacrifice. Gremlins attacked last session, as they are wont to do, so this is episode 18, 18.5, 18 redo, who knows. Anyway, this tabletop role-playing game uses the Dragon Age video game setting developed by BioWare, and the officially licensed tabletop role-playing game published by Green Ronin. Thanks also to Incompetech, aka Kevin MacLeod, for the wonderful music that you will hear throughout the evening. Incompetech can be found through the Roll20 app, which we will also be using. As a content note, the Dragon Age setting is not a nice place. Content warnings persist across this chronicle for war violence, sickness, undead, and terrible choices made in terrible circumstances. We employ the X card for player safety. And so, tonight, join us in telling the story of the Fourth Blight. First, Wardens, tell us a little bit about who you are and what your Warden is all about.
Hello everybody, my name is Steve, pronouns are he, him, and I will be playing Jurgen, the former Circle Mage who is now Tranquil.
Hello all, I am Devin. You can find me online at Sorta Sullied, and tonight I am playing the Warden Commander Garrick, who used to be a blacksmith and a father, and now he's only one of those.
Hi everyone, I am Brody, he, they, and I will be playing Harold Wynn, the alienage elf from Valroyo, who promises not to be any more of a problem than he would have been before he became a Grey Warden in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everybody, Ben Ravensdale. I'm going to be playing Raylath. Raylath is not an apostate, wow, I've suddenly forgotten the term.
No, apostate mage is correct.
Oh, okay, that was right. I was like, wait a minute, that's super, religious. Yeah, he's an apostate mage. He's an elf, and he became a Grey Warden to basically avoid the whole Templar thing, because that is no fun.
It is not. Alright, so as for me, I'm your game runner. I am Rachel. I am she, her. You can find me at Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere on the internet, including the Burning Bird app. It's been burning for a while. It's still on fire. I'm also on Instagram, YouTube, and I finally got a Blue Sky invitation. Hooray! So I'm over there. Stolen Fires everywhere. You can also find previous episodes of this show and other shows also run on this channel over on YouTube, where we love your likes and subscribes on our trek to 500 subscribers. We would also appreciate your subscription to this channel, but unlike Twitch, subscribing to YouTube is free. That out of the way, Brody, if you don't mind reading not last session's recap, but the one before, session 17, and we'll sort of try and get things going from there.
I will do my best.
Okay, your best is good enough.
A little background on the place we are going. Emperor Olivier Galbert Sebastien de Valais, when he was a youth, distinguished himself with a series of tournaments that he won. And, as an exceptional showman, won the heart of noblewoman Delphine Marie Helene Archmabol. I don't do French, so 20 years ago.
This is not the recap. This is not the recap. This is the recap. That's the one.
Oh, I got the wrong one. No, that's what I'm reading.
No, you're reading 8. You were reading 18. The very, very bottom one. She just posted it.
Yes.
Oops. Oh, there we go. So,
Sorry about that.
How about that looking into the future?
Indeed.
Rewind.
Jurgen takes a moment to heal the party before descending into the second level of the keep. We take note of the Grey Warden, Griffin, and Chalice symbol everywhere. But also there are some places where they have reworked the symbol into their own sign. Garrick recognizes it as Pharrell, who is also a Warden commander and probably involved in the construction of this place. She fought in the First Blight, mainly focusing her life afterwards on Darkspawn research. While looking around, Raleth finds a dagger wrapped in parchment. Inspecting it closely, he notes it is a ceremonial dagger, but still sharp. And the parchment says, "Raise your face and hands to the sky and speak. O Dumat, O Lord of Silence, accept these sacrifices made in your name. Grant us your power and all that we seek." Pietro recognizes Dumat as one of the archdemons in one of the earlier blights. Raelith brings it up to Garrick, who agrees that it needs to be destroyed. And as Raelith burns the parchment, Garrick tries his best to dull the dagger before bringing it to a forge to properly destroy it. The party presses on once again, and once again Raleth finds something of value, an iron wrought crown with a piece of parchment tucked into the ironwork. It reads, "In reverence you will approach the altar. Know that you come into the presence of Dumat. With head bowed say, Blessed are you, Dumat, silent and strong, secret and wise. We bring you gifts, sacrifices to your greatness." Pietra finds her way into a hidden room around a corner to find an altar. Raeleth examines the crown and dagger with his magical senses and feels the smallest bit of residue. So though not magic in and of themselves, they were used for a magical ritual. Taking an even closer look, we see that the stone altar is not made into the rock, and it likely moved into the room at a later date. Keeping the crown with Harrell and the dagger with Raelith, just to keep somewhat apart, they continue forward, going down into the next level, where they see an energy puzzle, which requires them to move things around in order to pass. Based on the decayed darkspawn we see, it requires critical thinking to succeed. Garrick spends a few minutes figuring out the proper directions we need to move the columns, and we successfully pass through. Yet before passing through the chamber, Garrick moves the last two columns just to make sure if darkspawn follow us, they will get destroyed by the trap. Raelith again finds yet another item, an urn. It reads, "Press your palms and forehead to the ground before the altar. Then these words thrice repeated, golden jewels, meat and blood, sacrifice to your hungry heart." Something speaks into our minds. Also, you hear whispers in your head, someone is begging to be let out and offering you immense power to be set free. Giving the urn to Jurgen, we speak to the party, finding only the wardens can hear the voice, and those not joined have no ability to do so. Raelith asks Chrisdom if it hears the voice, but Chrisdom also cannot hear it in its mind. Pressing forward, we do not find any more artifacts, and the craftsmanship of the dungeon becomes less stylish and more utilitarian. We arrive at an opening, like a cave, filled with skeletons of all different ages, from desiccated bones to much more recently decaying bodies. In front of a large door, there is a warden commander holding vigil, reeking of darkspawn. Getting closer, Garrick sees its decayed face leaking with ichor, growling at him, and while it circles around, other bodies begin to rise. We begin our fight against the Revenant Warden Commander and their 2 hench corpses. Jurgen tries to whack one of the corpses before it can stand, and instead hits it in the shoulder. The Revenant swings and whiffs at Garrick, and Garrick attacks in kind. But the plate armor of the Warden Commander takes a large brunt of the blow. The hench corpse Jurgen smacked gives some love back before Pietra summons an arcane lance to destroy it. The other hench corpse stabs at Garrick and manages to score a hit through his armor. Rayleigh performs magic to increase everyone's attack abilities using telekinetic weapon spells before moving next to Jurgen, who dives back into the fray, attacking the first corpse with extra attack power and manages to do significant damage. The Revenant slashes back at Garrick, but leaves a large opening for Garrick to slice into him, slipping past his armor and hurting it greatly. The corpse on Jurgen gathers itself to return a mighty blow. Pietra again lances the corpse, hurting but not killing it. The second corpse no longer quite as lucky. Its attack is brushed off by the shield. Rayleigh pulls out his scimitar to physically join the battle, while Pietra and Jurgen, slicing it cleanly, leave it barely standing. Jurgen takes aim to attack the head corpse, finally bringing it to heel with a repeated beating. Once more, Garrick manages to avoid being hit and leaves itself open for more attacks from the Warden Commander, followed up by an arcane lance from Petra, and this brings the Revenant down. The last corpse tries again to attack Garrick, but fails to land anything of consequence, giving Rayleigh time to sneak in and slice it in half. Jurgen takes a moment to stand next to the Warden Commander and heal himself, as Garrick swings into the corpse. Pietra lances it, Rayleigh comes in and finishes it with a textbook alert, stabbing it through to the hilt. Now without any enemies, we see the giant stone door meant to stay closed for all time. With the sigils and runes covering it, we can feel the power and hear the hum of the dread darkspawn on the other side. It continues to give us visions of power that it is willing to give us in exchange for the freedom it so desires. The 3 blood mages we recruit look at the slab, seeing an area where blood might flow, and look back at us. So, what do we do? Garrick looks to Rayleigh to understand what should be done, presuming it's simply just add blood. Taking some time, Rayleigh finds that Garrick is in fact right. All that is needed is to give the seal fresh blood, magic, and then it will strengthen the seal. The group of blood mages we brought begin to let their blood flow into the channels, continuously looking back at us to ensure that they are doing it right, and that they are allowed to keep going. The mages do quite well, as the voice in the back of our mind quells, and the demon is once again at bay until the next time the seals weaken. Once we leave, we make camp and speak to our blood mages to see what their plans are for the future. Rayleigh speaks to Kennard, who is unsure what is to happen to him, asking about his reliquary, which Rayleigh immediately throws to him, allowing him his own choice for what his future holds. Kennard states that he will take Baylor to Ferelden as a refugee, to be lost in another land. But before he leaves, he gives Rayleigh the option to learn blood magic. Rayleigh turns it down, and once again gives him the option of becoming a warden. Kennard refuses, as his life is meant to be as a village mage. Having kept the Viscountess to her word, we successfully ran the political shell game to get another stronghold available to protect the world against the Blight.
Excellent. Thank you, Brody, for reading the recap. Thank you, Devin, for taking notes. I'm sorry?
Had an excellent assistant
Oh, yes, you do. Oh, she's so cute.
who likes to jump onto me when I'm in the middle of talking. It's her favorite thing.
Of course. She wouldn't be a cat otherwise. So, for what we're going to do right now is a quick recap of the session cut short from the last time we were able to play. You looked into the current political situation in Orlais. The current Orlesian emperor is Olivier Gabert Sebastien de Valle. He's middle-aged, around 48 years old. In his youth, was an amazing tournament fighter, where he earned all sorts of honors and accolades. While still young, he married Delphine Marie-Helene Archambault. And by all accounts, it was very politically astute, and they also seemed to be in love, so hooray! But then, as the marriage wore on, they did not have children. So Queen Delphine dealt with a couple, accidents. Greased steps, rickety railings, and just sort of read the signs and decided to retire to a chantry. And so she is still technically married to her husband, the Emperor, who is now openly carrying on with two mistresses, Florentina and Karine. It is clearly understood, though it's never really spoken about, just something that everyone sort of gets, that the first mistress who can produce a son will become the next Queen of Orlais. This obviously does not make Delphine's family very happy. So this whole drama is enrapturing the court. Probably is a way to distract from, oh my god, there's a blight. Okay. So we spent most of the last session on preparation. So Jurgen, if notes are accurate, you made some crow poison.
Yes.
And distributed that to the party, along with some deathroot extract and a hallucinogen for Harold.
Yes.
Okay. Looks like he's gonna need it. And then Garrick got some mage bane, and you made a few extra grenades. And so the ritual paraphernalia. Yes?
Don't forget the quiet death.
Yes.
Okay.
I have one dose of the quiet death.
Excellent.
To kill the Emperor with?
You don't know me. I have no desire to kill the Emperor. I'm tranquil.
I do. Wait, what?
Okay, well, it says in the notes, Harold makes plentiful promises that he won't use that particular poison to kill the Emperor. So,
Sometimes the player forgets what promises Harold has made, which is appropriate.
that's why I'm reminding you.
I think it's really more Harold makes promises. And then Harold forgets.
You just hate him because he's good with his mouth.
So anyway, you split up the ritual artifacts. One gets buried, one gets dropped into the sea. Harold, you have the dagger, and it's your job to figure out how to destroy it after the blight. You also spend your time training actual crows. So Raylav decides to spend some time with Pietra. And so, anyway, you enter Orlais. And you know when you enter Orlais because all of a sudden the roads and the infrastructure gets much, much better. It's clear that this is where, your tax money at work. And so it takes you about a week to get from the border of Orlais to the capital of Val Royale. And so and so you stay in taverns, or you camp and have food you bought at the marketplace. But you notice that the food begins to drop in quality from what you're used to, and it becomes more expensive. This is probably because on your travels through Orlais, you pass by a lot of abandoned farms, burnt crops, destroyed farmhouses, such as it is. And so Harold flirts with one of the bartender, slips her a couple gold coins, and gets the information that it's half a shortage, but also a lot of the nobles appear to be hoarding what food there is. And so you do your best to sort of work out the problems in this town. And we were just about to resolve that where the gremlins attacked. Oh no, gremlin attack. But if you all don't mind, we will just sort of fast forward through this resolution. Because the moment is gone, and also as Grey Wardens, you know that your biggest obligation is defeating the Blight, so there's only so much time you can spend solving the problems at teeny tiny settlements.
Lies and slander.
I am absolutely accurate.
Just because you're God.
I'm also reminding you of your obligations. But I will give you a chance just sort of to check in case anyone thought of anything else that they wanted to do. About a day out from Orlais, is there any final wrap-up, final preparation that anyone would like to make?
I think I told you this inside or yesterday at some point in time, that we're going to be sending that message that we're going to be arriving just a few minutes before we actually get there. So that way they can have that whole entire big show of, oh crap, we've got to prep for, never mind, they're here.
Okay. Yeah, you can absolutely send probably Felice ahead of you.
Yeah,
Tell
sure.
her to time it fairly well. Okay. Cool.
So the maker knows. Harold is also keeping an eye out for any stray Mabari or any other potential animals to bring into his horde.
Alright, I guess go ahead and give me a perception roll, please. We're having fun watching your cat in the background.
That's a 17 with 4 stunt points.
I keep waiting for the cat to go back on top of his head from a distance.
Look, if you want to have the Tanith show, I'm sure she'll oblige.
She's supervising.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, 17 with 4 stunt points.
okay. You don't actually find many Mabari here. Partly that is because this is Orlais, and Mabari are more Ferelden thing. But you know, as you eat yet another low to mid quality stew in another tavern, you know, where did they go? Weird. Maybe you'll just be a vegetarian for the foreseeable future.
I've eaten worse, but that's why there's no potential pets running around, because they're no longer pets, they're food.
I mean, no one's going to admit to it, and you know, you can still see essentially owned pets. So someone walking around with a Mabari that's clearly theirs, a tavern cat that clearly belongs to the tavern, just no strays.
So not at the point of literally using creatures that they have emotional attachment to for food,
Correct.
but willing to use creatures that look like them as sustenance.
We're just not going to go into a whole lot of detail about this, but you have your answers. All right. Anything that anyone else would like to do?
Nope, Rayleth is good.
Same.
Okay, cool. So you enter Val Royale. It is very beautiful and very old. So even those of you who are used to coming from old places, like you're used to old places almost being ruins. But here, the buildings were built 500 years ago and they're still being used and they're still beautiful. They're still being maintained. There's a lot of lion symbolism. The lion is sort of the mascot animal of Orlais, so a lot of lion sigils, a lot of lion statues. The vibe in Val Royale is it's a little more prosperous than you've seen recently, in part because it is so removed from the current blight, but there's still that feeling of worry. Gossip in the marketplace is about, oh, how close is the horde? Are they coming here? Are they going elsewhere? What are we gonna do if they get closer? What are they gonna do if we attack? Well, the walls are strong. The captain of the guard knows what they're doing. But yeah, Darkspawn, it sucks. Bitching about the price of eggs. So, I assume you sent Felice ahead to the palace. But there are a couple other places to explore. You could explore the marketplace. You could explore the alienage. You could explore the docks. Or just sort of based on the way that you decided to time it, go straight to the palace.
I will look to Harold and ask him if he wants to go to the alienage himself first.
Well, it's really a question of how much information do we want to have at our fingertips before we go talk to the people in charge around here.
Wait, didn't you say that you were going in advance a little bit, or am I thinking wrong?
So, if I am interpreting what he wanted to do correctly, is you are sending Felice ahead of time to announce the presence of Grey Wardens in the city, but timing it so that they only get like an hour or at most to prepare.
No, I thought, I don't remember if this was me thinking it or not, if Harold said he was planning on, mingling in the alienage beforehand too to get information.
I think that boat has sailed.
Okay. I just didn't remember if you said it or not.
Well, so you can time telling Felice to go to the palace whenever you want to time it with your other goals as you wish.
Okay, so yeah, Harold, how about we go to your alienage first, so that way we can get a little bit of the underbelly information.
So what you're saying is that you're comfortable with the Grey Wardens stopping at the poorest, most low-class part of the entire nation before going to see the Emperor.
Not the Grey Wardens. Harold.
I mean, sure. Although I like the idea of us visiting the common folk long before we deal with the Emperor. I love that message. I am all for that message.
Oh no, they're getting another message.
That's fine. If you guys want to pack up slowly today, I will go get a lead on.
Yeah, because I swear I remember him saying he was planning on doing that beforehand, but he got lost in the mix.
I mean, sure,
Everyone
that's
died.
fine. That's sort of why we're
Yeah.
redoing episode 18.
So yes, the night before, I think Harold actually leaves slightly before Felice.
Okay.
But will not be going but we'll go with the effort to conceal any Grey Warden iconography or symbols on anything that he has. He's just going to blend in with the crowd.
Okay. Are you going to try and cover up your ear tips or anything that would mark you as an elf?
No, because I'm heading to the alienage.
Okay. Cool.
But also, I'm going to do my best to blend in and not draw any attention, regardless. Which shouldn't be too hard because I know I'm actually I
Because
technically
you're from Valroyo, yes?
I belong in this city.
Yeah, okay. So you know exactly which alleys to take and how to walk and how to carry yourself uh to create the proper don't look at me vibe. And you make your way to the alienage. Uh so uh okay. Pardon me, just flipping around my notes.
Just looking for a stat block of what attacks Harold.
All right. So, one of the people that you would know, who lives in Valroyo, her name is Liana. I will put that in the Discord. She is essentially the leader of the Red Jennies in Valroyo. As much as the Red Jennies can be said to have a leader, but she seems to be the one who knows the most about what's going on, and she's the one who can sort of coordinate actions amongst the Red Jennies. So you would have known her. She is technically human, but her mother is elven, and so she was raised her whole life in the alienage.
Make her bless. Bless the maker.
Bless the maker indeed. My apologies. Powder makeup always happens. Yes, so she's an elf-blooded human raised by an elven mother. There's a lot of unfortunate implications in that nobody ever talks about. That is who she is. And then there is an older elven gentleman, older for an elf, so this means about mid to late 40s. His name is Evandriel, and he's sort of considered the leader of the Valroyo alienage at this time. There's rumors that he has Dalish heritage, which may or may not be true. If he does, he was taken from them as a child because he does not have any of the Valasleen that you've come to understand marks Dalish adults.
So my plan is to leave a note as part of the blind signaling for Liana to tell her, to let her know somebody would like to talk. And then I am going to make my way straight to Evandriel.
Okay.
And when I get to him, I will make sure that my bow, which is ironwood, and very clearly a Dalish bow,
okay,
is visible within his line of sight. But no Grey Warden stuff. Still just an alien elf coming back home.
All right. So you leave the dead drop for Liana, essentially saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be in the tavern later. We should talk." Uh, and so this would be early in the morning, yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's got that nice crisp coolness that you get very early in the morning when the dew is sort of still on the ground, but the sun is up and is slowly warming everything. And so Evandriel, as you might expect, for those who don't know, even though the alienage elves have lost a lot of their elven culture and their elven heritage, one thing that they do have is a very well cultivated tree called a Venedal. Let me double check the spelling of that. Yep. So it's a huge old tree that grows in the center of an elven alienage and is like your one connection to the elven of old. And it's usually where, when the community gathers, they gather around the tree. When you celebrate life milestones like weddings and such, they happen in front of the tree. During festivals, you decorate the tree. And, you take care of it, feed it, keep it alive. And so, this essentially being the growing heart of the alienage, the leader of the alienage has a small house. It's not really a house, it's more like a shack, just sort of built of like catch as catch can. And so this is where Evandriel lives. Essentially, he's got this big holy tree in his front yard because that is where he's chosen to live. And that's
How hard is it to get inside without necessarily making much noise?
very easy. I'm not even gonna make you roll for it.
I will, with just quietly walking through, blending in after the dead drop, will just kind of weave my way to Evandriel's hut, and just without even slowing, just kind of go in and see if the boss man's awake.
Okay. I will make you roll to not be noticed by him. So go ahead and give me a stealth roll.
Okay. $19.
Okay, that's very good. So he's busy eating his breakfast, so you manage to sort of duck in, and there's a pile of, it looks like reclaimed wood that might be used to build something at some point in the future. It's things like barrel halves or old sawhorses. So, it's not house lumber. So you just sort of duck behind the woodpile. And you watch him for a little bit. He eats his breakfast. It's some sort of grain mush, sweetened with like a few little bits of dried berries. Not much more. After breakfast, cleans up. And then he does a thing where he recites a string of words to himself. And at first you don't really understand the words, but because of your exposure to the Dalish, you understand, oh, he is repeating every elven word he knows. as just sort of his morning ritual. It's not that many, it's only a couple dozen.
So if he's reciting it, I will try and just kind of stand. You know that spot right in your peripheral vision that like you're not necessarily conscious of, but you kind of like can kind of see stuff just behind you.
Sure, so is this you trying to be noticed by him?
It's my seeing how perceptive he is, and when he finishes the recitation, be like, "Why didn't you ever teach me those?"
All right.
And the shit-eating grin is already on before he turns.
Okay. That's a terrible roll. He does not spot you until you choose to make yourself known. So you say what you say, and he turns around with a start and says, "Oh, young Harold, we had heard terrible things about you."
Only half true. Can we sit?
You look like you've done well for yourself.
I'm not sure I could say that, but considering our expected lifespan, it could be worse.
Well, you certainly look a lot healthier than many of the other elves about. I'd heard that you'd been taken to prison, and I'd heard also that you'd become a Grey Warden.
The last parts help with the getting enough to eat.
I see. Well, I suppose if anyone deserves to have full bellies as they go about their day, it's the Grey Wardens, especially in times such as these. Tell me, is it true there's a blight about?
There is. I was in Antiva.
Oh, we've heard terrible stories coming from Antiva. Are they true?
And in Orton-Tag.
Oh, I'm afraid we haven't got much news from Orton-Tag, but I'll take what you have.
You won't be getting news from Orton-Tag.
Aye, it's that bad, is it?
Most of its population is now in Orzammar. We managed to keep the king from being killed in a trap. But Orton-Tag has fallen. If it hasn't fallen yet, it's only because they haven't gotten through the door.
Well, that's hard news to hear indeed. What of the threat to Orlais? Do you think the Horde might turn their attention to us?
Do you think I'd be here if it wasn't that case?
Well, you've always done your own things for your own reasons, Harold.
Don't ask the Warden Commander, but I actually am trying to be well behaved.
Well,
they gave me poisons and I haven't even used it on a noble yet.
Sure, Leon will be disappointed to hear it, but I'm pleased for myself.
Well, I said yet.
Well, what can I do for you?
You could be of great service to the Grey Wardens in giving us a lay of the land. What do you know about what's going on? What are people hearing? What's the level of attention that nobles are paying to the threat? What whispers are coming through from their servants?
Well, as far as that goes, I suppose part of the reason that the prices are so high in the markets is because the nobles are known to be, well, they call it laying stock in for a long winter, but you might as well call hoarding what it is, hoarding.
I'm guessing they didn't put them in their storehouses themselves.
Certainly not. That's how I know. There is some fear for the abandoned farms. But the farmers are too afraid to return back to the fields, and really, who can blame them?
There is no safe place right now.
Everyone likes to pretend that Orlais will be safe enough, but If famine comes to us, well, we know what'll happen next.
We do. You wouldn't happen to think you could, maybe give me a layout of what we know about what's being hoarded? Locations, quantities?
Oh, you have to talk to Liana about that. I only know in the general terms what's going on.
I think it might be useful if we have a full write-up of where all the excess is being stored, so that we can point out that we need to requisition it for the sake of the war.
We'll have to speak to Liana about that.
And how's everyone in the alienage doing?
Well enough, trying to put by as much as they can in case the worst happens. The nobles are occupying themselves with the Emperor's goings on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop that.
Supposedly there's a new face at court. Van Markham? I don't know his given name, but he's from the Van Markhams of Navarra. Made a name for himself in the Exalted Marches, what recently passed. Claims he's a direct descendant from Contilius Dracon himself. Clearly has designs on the throne of Navarre.
Interesting.
He would be a good ally to cultivate, especially as he's, well, when we're not talking about the king's mistresses, he's the other name who's got everyone in a tizzy.
Nothing else might make an interesting balancing point for anybody who wants to get too obsessed with court politics.
Well, I hear also that there's a dwarf. Now the thing is, I don't know his family name, I only know his given name. Derek. He's here, claims to be a dwarf and noble.
Do you know which tag?
I don't.
Interesting.
As far as the rest of that, well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you. The first enchanter, the knight commander of the Templars, even the revered mother of the town, all connected to the local noble families.
Yeah. No, I remember. How's the itching powder supply?
Well, no one's bothered to make any more since you left. We didn't think we'd have a need.
Might want to suggest they at least make another batch or two, because I'm going to be in town a little bit, I think.
Well, that's another conversation to have with Leanna, not me.
Look, I came to you first, out of respect. And you have the privilege of being able to say to anybody you want that the Grey Wardens came to you before the Emperor.
I suppose I could say that.
And I shift so that I kind of shift, bringing the bow across and out, as just, kind of doing the settling motion, but incidentally moving the bow into his line of sight and shaking off one of the pauldrons that has has the Grey Warden symbol on it under the cloak.
Well, I'll see what I can do with that. I don't know what it will be. Do you intend to take any recruits from the alienage before you go?
If anybody's willing.
I'll ask around.
The one people I would never impress upon them to serve would be here. Only if they want to.
Well, let's see how difficult the blight gets before you make those promises.
And between us, if anybody gets into trouble, there's a lovely keep southeast of the southeast along the marches or the dales that will take refugees or people who are willing to contribute. It's a Grey Warden keep.
Oh, I'll certainly spread that around, though I
That's-
don't think many would want to leave except in direst extremity.
That's who I'm talking about. If anybody ever finds themselves in the position I did. Right, Kat? Hello, Tristram. I didn't know you came with me. Or just Crow. You want to settle? There we go. Well, we're going to be in town for a bit. If you or anyone in the alienage needs anything, just have them send a message to the Grey Wardens. It'll find me.
All right, I'll do that.
And don't let anybody know I was here until after we've made our announcement.
Oh, that's up to you.
Isn't it? I'm going to try and Batman my way out of the room.
All right, go ahead and give me another stealth check, please.
I will do so as quickly as I can, but I only am typing with one hand right now. 18.
All right. So you managed to sneak your way out of the alienage, only being seen by those whom you want to see you. You return to your dead drop location, and essentially get the message that Leanna will meet with you in the evening. So you've got a whole day with which to fill with elf things, Grey Warden things, Red Jenny things. It's up to you.
Well,
And I suppose the rest of your squad.
if I understand, the plan was that the squad would be coming a little bit after Felice, but not very far behind. So I'm going to attempt to meet them at the gate.
Okay.
As they're coming in, and just kind of subtly join them, so somebody who thought they had counted them will be like, "Oh wait, I missed one."
All right, and so that sort of brings up another question, which is probably Garrick's to answer: is how much pomp and circumstance do you want to enter the city? Do you want to be like polished, shiny armor? Everybody look at us on horseback with Grey Wardens, or do you just want to sort of trudge through the city and let people come to their own conclusions, or something else?
I feel like it needs to be that wonderful mixed bag where I, the Warden Commander, and maybe two others that are at my side are in the shiniest armor we've got. And then there's a bunch of us trailing behind, and you can see the pomp and circumstance goes downhill with the troops. So that way, Orlais has the who's important, who do we really want to show off to thing. Yeah, except only giving them enough time to have like this. We got as much together as we could, and we're very, very sorry. We're very, very sorry. We didn't make this as pretty as we should. We should have made this so much better for you guys. We really should have. We really should have. Follow that up with, why didn't you?
All right, I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of groveling entering the city. It's mostly just sort of, what sort of attention are you trying to attract?
Those in front are being shiny so that everyone realizes that, it's the Grey Wardens. And then everyone who's following is basically in the normal, regular, we've been traveling for a while because we have shit to do.
All right, so clearly we're from the front lines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I And so, what about Rayleth or Jurgen? Is there anything else that you would try and contribute or push back on or do differently, do the same?
Follow lead.
Okay.
Um,
So, Rayleth, the big question for you is, do you want to openly be a mage? So walk around with light armor and your big fuck off mage staff. And do you want to openly walk through as an elf?
Yes to both. I'm wearing
Okay.
I got my reinforced duster thing, or trench coat or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah,
Okay.
not doing
Excellent.
anything fancy, just big staff. Look like an elf, look like a wizard.
Okay. So Garrick wanted a couple polished up Grey Wardens at the front, so I feel like that would be you.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got my silverite rapier on full display too, because, let's at least make it look like we are successful at fighting Darkspawn.
All right. Cool. So you absolutely draw sort of the most attention and the most whispers as the people watching you sort of move through this city. They are reluctant to impede your way, but they do watch you and you do hear whispers. And they are... You can tell that they're scared, that there's an elf, that there's a mage running around as a Grey Warden. But, who better to fight the Blight? Who better to die fighting the Blight?
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you see a couple like small elven children just watching you with big dinner plate eyes, and you've made an impression on them. Like, yes, elves can walk through the streets of Val Royale armed and armored. If you've got the Grey Ward behind you.
Okay.
It looks like Steve wants to say something. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Sorry, my cat's being very cute. Wait, no, now he's licking his butthole. Okay.
They will do both in equal measure, yes.
Yes.
Cats being cute, they don't belong on stream.
My favorite line about cats is, everything you own and love has been sat upon.
Not everything, but he's getting close.
That's easy because you don't own anything anymore.
True.
If he gets within grabbing range, I'll pick him up and show him off at a camp. All right, but anyway, so you make your way in this not quite a parade, we'll call it a procession, from the gates to the palace of Valroyo. And you see the palace way ahead of time, because this is an edifice built out of white granite, white marble. There's gold leaf everywhere, so it catches the late morning sunshine and reflects it. And so, Harold, was there anything that you wanted to talk about with your buddies before going into the palace?
I'll just give him the update on have some confirmation that nobles are hoarding resources. Might have a contact who can help me figure out where and how much. If we were thinking about maybe using that as leverage to get them to be generous. Also, they're obsessed with the current political infighting. But there is an individual who has shined forward and is the other thing they're talking about, who is seeking to take the throne of Navarre. And there is a dwarf who claims to be a noble, but nobody knows what tag he's from.
Good job, Harold.
Oh, and that was from the official leader of the alienage. I'll have more for you tonight.
I'm impressed, and nobody's been itched or no riots.
I am trying very hard right now to be well behaved, so you forgive me when I do what I'm going to do next.
I'm going to forget you said that part. Good job, Harold.
My goal is to maintain a neutral point score with you, sir.
Well, you are toting that negative line.
We'll see. Hey, if you stick it to the nobles and twist their arms, that's just gonna make me obey better. Because then I don't have.
Well, you did great with the supplies. Now, you said those were unlisted supplies?
I don't know if they're unlisted, but they're definitely being hoarded. Which likely accounts for the extreme level of food consumption that we saw on the way here.
Okay.
They're not taking care of their people.
If it's unlisted, we can definitely use that in ways that I think even you would approve of.
Well, I'm just saying, if we have a good read on how much is actually being kept back, then if we can give them the specifics of what we would want or are conscripting, they can't argue. Because they don't need it.
Yeah, especially if it's more than they could ever eat themselves and all of the staff they have involved.
I'm just saying, there's only so many suckling pigs you need before you can share.
37.
Weren't you a blacksmith?
Yeah, and I was very hungry.
Well, again, I'm gonna behave.
You just see his shit-eating grin pop up as you know he's trying to play you too.
You're getting better at it.
I'm learning from, I hate to say it, but the best.
Hey, if you know you're gonna die, that just means you can have fun before it happens.
Why would you make a contrary thing make sense?
All right, so
Shall we go pay a visit to the second most important person in the city? I'm sorry, third most important.
Oh, you were counting me.
No.
Damn.
I wasn't counting me either.
Now I'm confused.
Don't worry about it. Let's go.
Okay.
all right, so moving on. You come across the very beautiful palace of Valroyo, the capital of the Orlesian Empire. And it's clear that they have thrown a couple of the Grey Warden banners up in preparation of your arrival. They haven't bothered to take the Orlesian banners down, whether that's because they didn't have time, or they're trying to send a message, or both. Who knows? But they at least are doing their best, and so there is an honor guard of a couple Templars in, armor just as shiny as yours, maybe a little bit more, because it's got like like a little gold leaf accent on the pauldron.
But when we come into sight of them, I start playing I'm assuming the Grey Wardens have some sort of anthem or music that is associated with them.
Mm-hmm.
The second he comes around the corner, I start playing.
Okay. So you are competing with a couple other minstrels, also trying to play music to honor your arrival. Do you want to try to drown each other out?
Actually, I'm not going to drown them out, but I am going to play in such a way as to make their music supplement mine rather than overpower it. I want to integrate what they're playing into mine rather than try and overwrite theirs.
Give me a cunning roll. This is going to be difficult.
With musical lore as a focus?
Sure. You're gonna need at least a 17.
Okay, that's theoretically possible.
Isn't your cunning like a +9 now?
Nope. I do not get it.
Okay. So that's a 1, a 1, and a 3. So as you try and match the players playing, you realize that this is their profession, and they are far better than you. Far, the benefit of more extensive training that you've ever been. And as much as you try and match them, it just sounds discordant.
Okay.
Okay.
They're the jerks trying to cover over the Grey Warden's music.
You can tell that they make a note of your face, and you make a note of their faces. It is a man and a woman who, just glancing at them, you would guess they're related in some way.
And they've got the court bard kind of thing going.
They're certainly minstrels. Might have to talk about the rest of that with them later.
Of course, they've drawn the attention. They've drawn my attention, and the warden commander could use a much better band.
So, it is a gentleman about mid-30s, with very finely styled blonde hair, who greets you first. Welcome to Valroyo, the most beautiful city in the world, Grey Wardens. I am Knight Commander Alrun. Please, be welcome as the palace. We are preparing to a proper reception for those of your station. But if there is any things that I can do, or that my Templars can do to be of service, you have only to ask.
You said his name was Knight Commander what again?
I will put that in the Discord.
Thank you.
Alru?
Knight Commander Al Roker.
No.
Okay, yeah, that's not what I heard at all.
It is because he pronounces his name with the Orlesian accent.
All right. Thank you.
Warden commander, do you want to say something?
Yes. Thank you for this warm look around a little bit at the banner, the Orlesian banners, just briefly, just so that he can see that I'm noting. Welcome. Yes, please take us inside. We are very hungry. There wasn't a lot to eat along the way at the taverns we stopped at.
Uh, I hear that is a problem across Orlais, but do not be concerned. The servants are laying out a delightful repast for you and your entourage. If you don't mind, uh, please come with me.
We follow.
Yes.
All right.
Uh,
So I would like.
I'm going to be whispering a running commentary into Garrick's ear, being like, but not like the tour guide thing, more like, so I'm pretty sure I saw these two nobles hook up behind that statue about 3 years ago. Just full on gossip.
All right. So, I would like. So, cunning perception, a cunning roll or a perception roll. Each of you can decide which one to make. Each one will give you different information, and the higher you roll, the more you'll get.
Would a political intrigue thing be a focus for this if it was cunning?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are just Maker? Are there any particular specializations that might apply?
Anything having to do with politics or situational awareness. This is just sort of getting a vibe check as you are brought through the hallways and gardens and such of the palace.
I'm gonna try heraldry, just at least just using what images and attire that I catch.
Okay, sure. And then Jurgen has a question.
Did you say cunning or perception?
You can pick which one you want.
Okay.
Which one you roll is you get different information.
Understood.
And would a dragon die do anything in this?
So go ahead, let's check out the stunts. Or as I narrate for other people, check out exploration or role-playing stunts, and see if there's anything that strikes you as being useful for what you rolled.
Okay.
Starting with Rayleth, is that your 11 that you rolled?
Yep.
Okay, was that perception or cunning?
Cunning.
Okay. So for you, it's pretty easy to figure out that they are taking you the long way through. Because you can sort of see like, oh, okay, there's the main hall up there, that big fancy part of the castle. Oh, we are being led on this really winding pathway through some of the gardens where the knight commander will stop and like talk about this plant or the other one. This is a very rare flower from Antiva. Who cares? He's clearly trying to stall you.
So they can get whatever it is ready, most likely. Okay.
Fair assumption. Okay, and then
Sorry, I did generate one stunt point, I believe.
yes, you did.
Okay.
Did you want to spend that on something, or should I come back to you later?
So there's. Come back to me later, because I don't
Okay.
think this is giving me the right list.
All right. Harold Wynn, were you rolling? You were rolling for heraldry.
So cunning.
Okay. So what you pick up with your heraldry specialization. So there is a lot of the sigil and the heraldry of the Devaye, the imperial family. And so you would know that the Devalier family currently consists of Emperor Olivier, his younger sister Celine, and much younger brother Fournier. Celine is about 44, has her own family with Navarran royalty. So she's got like a couple little sigils around, but not that many. Um, so technically the current queen is from the Archambault family. She's the one who is retired to the Chantry. And you can see places where Archambault sigils and heraldry has been removed, sort of to try and like cover up her existence.
So
Uh,
it's the spacing and decorations are indicating that it's not just that she's retired. There's almost an active effort to remove her.
yes. And then you see essentially dueling heraldry between the Lambert and Blanchard families. And
Seems
so nothing officially has been put up, but you spot like, oh, that's a fresh bouquet of families in Lambert colors. Oh, that like decorative armor has a Blanchard sash around it.
so
Almost like
those are the two mistresses' houses.
you would assume. But yeah, almost like a graffiti war, but with heraldry.
Yeah, graffiti work.
Okay. And so Jurgen, you got a 19 with cunning. Nice. Um,
Yes,
so
but politics is not my specialty, so I'm just kind of like, ooh, thing.
yeah. So you make the same realization of your being taken on the long route. Um, and you also notice that other people have sort of joined the group, sort of moving through to the reception hall. Um, one of whom is dressed like a Reverend Mother from the Chantry. So really nice, modest, elegant robes. Got her hair pinned up in a nice braided style. Um, and you also notice a dwarf in really nice clothes. So a lot of like leather and velvet and silk, really richly done colors. He's got his own entourage that is a mixture of dwarves and humans. And you hear people refer to him as Lord.
Hmm.
Uh, but he got a big old tattoo on his cheek.
Hmm. Hmm.
We know what that means.
Yes.
Legions do not. That is clear. And Garrick, how did you do?
I rolled a 16 on political intrigue,
Okay.
and I think, can I use the object of your attention to focus in on one clue in particular?
Okay, sure. Um, is uh is there something in particular that you want to focus on, or anything that should I just make it up?
Just make it up, because the only thing I was thinking of is where the activity is going, and they're obviously just shoving as much as they possibly can into that room while we're being walked the long way.
Okay. So with that high of a roll, you get sort of somewhat of the same information that Harold Wynn got, where essentially you can tell just sort of based on the way that the heraldry is positioned throughout the castle. Oh, there's clearly some sort of tension or struggle going on. totally reasonable to assume it's related to the king's extramarital shenanigans. Um, and as the minstrels are following you. One on the lute, one on the lyre. Just sort of like singing, providing background music. And there's just something about the way they move, about the things that you notice them noticing, that lets you know that these people are more than minstrels.
Hera will lead in to Garrick and be like, "There's a tradition around here. Bards are assassins too." I smile as I hold up my lute, which I'm not playing currently.
Yeah, so essentially there are minstrels who are musicians, may or may not travel, may or may not be attached to a court. They play music, they sing, they entertain, that's great. And then there are the bards, who are the spies, who assume the cover of minstrels to gain access to where they need to. And so not every minstrel is a bard, but most bards at least pretend to be minstrels. And they would never admit to being bards, except to someone they trusted.
Harold has used the word bard several times in describing himself now.
All right.
Okay.
You've got own Orlesian bard assassin.
I mean, would you expect Valroyo to not have a bard or two around?
God, no. Why do you think I went that way? I'm going all into the Valroyo culture.
Okay. So is there anything, any whispered conversations or clarifications or questions that anyone has? Okay. I'm gonna assume that's a no. Cool. So Captain Elrune, leads you, eventually, after maybe another 20-30 minutes, just like, look at this statue. It was made by the great sculptor Pierre 200 years ago, and this is its intense symbolism that you don't care about, but I'm going to tell you about anyway, to sort of eat up a little bit of more time.
I will, on top of them, like, with the same accent, I will say, but it is possible that this particular statue is a forgery. I have seen evidence that the real statue was taken out as an effort to ensure that the debts were paid by a minor noble who was connected to the imperial family. Why am I going Russian? I'm trying to stay French.
So they don't want to contradict you, but they do brush you off. So you are led into the main hall. It is very nice, very richly apportioned. Instead of tar torches, you've got really nice beeswax candles providing light and a little bit of warmth. The spread looks like the best that they could do in the moment, and they are all very, very grateful you came during the lunch hour. So it's a lot of bread, fresh cheese, fresh fruit. There's a lot of wine around. And you see the Emperor himself at the high table. Very nice, elaborate chair. He himself sort of has the body type of someone who was very, very fit when they were younger and has just sort of let themselves go a little bit to seed in their middle age. So, his doublet's a little tight in places, but still very well built. And you see two young women at table with him. And by young, I mean about mid-20s. One of whom is quite clearly pregnant. The other one does not seem to be. And then, of course, the entourage that you have picked up. One is clearly a nobleman who has decided to attend this shindig lightly armored, so he doesn't have the full plate, but he's got the greaves and the shin guards and all that fun stuff going on. Uh, and of course the Reverend Mother, she's here. Uh, and the Emperor. Ah, Grey Wardens! You grace us with your presence. We are so happy to have you and to host you. Please, please, come, partake of our repast, and please forgive the meager offerings that we have at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you for being such gracious hosts. I know we didn't give much notice, but we've been busy. There have been so many things going on with, well, the blight that is coming.
Ah, yes, we, please, let us sit and let us discuss what we might do for each other.
Yes, this sounds like a very reasonable idea.
Okay. And this also seems like a pretty good point to take our 10-minute break. So you can go get some real food to accompany the narrative food. Um, or hydrate or play with your pets, or I don't know, man. We're just gonna take a 10-minute break.
We're not your mom. Do what you want.
Just come back in 10 minutes. And we return. So, the reception whereby the rest of you will meet the Emperor and his entourage Vorlay has begun. So, the food here is very nice. It is not only sort of the quality that you would expect at a royal capital, but it's also a lot nicer than the questionable things you've been served on the roadside taverns on your way here. And so, to set the scene, there is the big head table where the Emperor is sitting. He has one of his mistresses on either side of him, one of whom is quite clearly pregnant, the other one who is not. And so, fanning out from that is Knight Commander Etienne, who is the man who greeted you and led you on that winding tour throughout the grounds. There is also the revered mother. And then there is a couple other noble people, including the lightly armored man whom you saw earlier, and the dwarf whom you also saw earlier. The bards, the minstrels, which are they? Who knows? Are continuing to provide light background music, and so you, all four of you. So Garrick, as the Knight Commander, you are sat directly across from the Emperor, with the other members of your entourage again fanning out from either side of you. So it won't be difficult to engage anybody in conversation whom you wish. And so the Emperor will begin. He will open and so tell me, Warden Commander, what can Orley do for the order? And you can tell by the cagey way in which he is asking that essentially, what he's asking is, what can I give you so that you don't conscript anything more?
So, our mission says hold your Elysian Empire to their treaties to promise aid. What is involved in that aid according to the treaties, or is it just kind of a generic? You say help, we say win.
Sure. We can say that you sort of reviewed the treaties while Harold Wynn was up to his shenanigans in the alienage. And so the treaties are left very open-ended, and you can assume for a reason. Essentially, yes, you will render aid to the Grey Wardens, and so it specifically says martial, magical, and other, but it doesn't really quantify anything. Which could be to your advantage or to your detriment. It depends sort of on how you're able to spin it with this guy.
Okay. So, I remember the part of it was the fact that they might head down this way, and they're supposed to supply us with at least food, which they seem to have a lot of. They just have it all stockpiled away from their own people. But I don't remember what else were we trying to get out of them. This is to you guys, too.
Yeah, so essentially, when you do finally go confront the archdemon to kill him, you're going to have to fight through the Darkspawn Horde, which is just like Genlocks and Hurlocks by the thousand. Excuse me. And so you essentially are going to need entire armies, plural, to cover your approach to the archdemon, because it's not a Grey Warden who kills him, he won't stay dead.
Okay, so in other words, we're basically looking for the whole spiel or shebang of We want people, we want food, we want your time and money.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure we were looking for all of it before I started making him have to deal with that.
Yeah, and you can if you want, because you are the warden commander, you can ask for, and we need these many conscripts to join the Grey Wardens in particular, and you're gonna need to take in these so many members of refugees from the Free Marches.
Okay, but what I'm getting out of him is more along the lines of how is he personally going to be able to be kept normal? So,
Yeah,
what?
so essentially the treaties give you a blank check, and
Mhm.
now is when you negotiate what to put in the dollar amount.
Okay. So, Garrick's going to begin by, doing that lead in of, with the blight going on, we are in need of a lot of supplies and manpower. Now, being that as it may, we do notice that there's a large amount that your nobles have been hoarding as far as food, which we know they're not going to use all of it. We could use part of that hoarded stockpile for feeding those that are going to come with us.
Oh, we can I can certainly set up a type of flour and oil and other consumables to accompany the army. That is not a problem. Although it well, how long do you think the blight might go for?
Depends on how long it takes for us to kill the archdemon and end this blight for now.
I see, I understand. You must also understand that you call it hoarding, but amongst the families, we do not see it that way. Many farmers have had to flee the fields. The coming harvest this fall will not be good, and so we must set the food by to make it through the oncoming winter, perhaps even longer, depending on how long the blight takes.
If our troops are hungry, it might take even longer. A
Ah,
well-fed
yes.
army makes for a well-mobilized and well-hitting army.
I shall see to it that each noble house is given an appropriate tithe. Does that strike you as fair, as reasonable, as meeting your needs?
Errol will lean over to Garrick and kind of whisper in his ear, "You might want to mention that every dead peasant is fodder for the for the blight."
Oh yeah, that was coming in because I was going to say you don't.
Or less of a problem.
In addition to this, yes, as my cohorts have so eloquently put, uh, the more dead peasants you will have is, well, the more peasants you send out, you could also send to us as, well, let's just say you would have less hungry peasants that might disrupt your way of life if you send them as part of your army as well to help us.
If you want me to put spears in the hands of untrained peasants and send them with you, I can do that as well.
Oh, in addition to actual people to train them and appropriate knights, yes, we do expect to hold you to uh, the fact that this is a blight and it is not just it is not just Orlais that might be destroyed. As you already know, Antiva has fallen. If the blight doesn't come to a stop one way or the other, it won't stop at Antiva. It will spread to all.
Uh, Indeed. But,
But
have
we
you
don't want it to spread to all, and we know you don't want your life to be changed. We're not expecting it to. We're not expecting you to personally feel it, Emperor. We understand that.
You are saying quite a lot without saying quite a lot. Come, we are both men of action. You may speak plainly. Tell me what is it you need, and I will tell you what I can provide.
We will need quite a bit in order to pincher our way into the Horde in order to kill the Archdemon and end this blight. The longer it takes, and the less we have in the beginning, the longer it will take and the worse it will be for everyone.
You do not have to lecture me on the history of the blights and the ways that they go. But, well, perhaps a lecture for a lecture. And so he reaches into his belt pouch and clearly came prepared for this. Pulls out a scroll that he spreads on the table in front of you. It is the same map of Thetis that you can see in the Roll20.
Okay.
It says, you see over here is far to the east is Antiva, that I visited once as a young man, and it took quite a long time to get there, and even longer to get back. And you see closer to Orlais, I have to deal with the territories of Navarra, who make pretensions to independence. And he says pretensions to independence, and you see that moderately armored noble just like but he continues talking, doesn't even notice what this guy does, but the rest of you do. Says, and then you see here to the north is Zitavinter Imperium, who, if I may be so prideful as to say, have never quite gotten over the loss of the jewel in the crown that is Orlais. By which I mean, you see that the horde will be blocked entering Tevinter by this mountain range, and then by this river. And so, perhaps they come to Navarra, perhaps they come down to Ferelden, perhaps they spend their time in the free marches. But the question is, how many of my soldiers can I send with you without making my country a sitting duck for the Tevinters?
The Tevinters are the next on our final leg of gathering from our treaties. We can assure you that they won't be able to attack you, as they will be too busy defending themselves and the rest of the planet from the Horde as well, or the Blight as well.
So you say, and I do not doubt that you can obtain such assurances and promises for the duration of the blight. Make a willing, it only lasts.
Rachel,
yes.
As the emperor is talking, Harold will accidentally spill a little bit of wine on the map where Orthantig was.
Okay.
So
Yes.
ideally, the reddest wine he can find.
Okay.
Just. Oh, my. That. Although this update the map some.
You're right, because they did take the deep roads and just came out of nowhere. Oh,
Uh,
the whole
as
city.
I was saying before your elfin companion interrupted us, I
Fellow
thought
Grey
that.
Warden,
Oh,
your emperor.
my apologies. Apparently, I have been wrong about the rumors of elven dexterity. As I was saying, I do not doubt that you can obtain promises that the Tevinter Imperium will not attack for the duration of the night. Maker granted be short. But the next question is, what happens after the blight if I send all my soldiers to you and leave my country vulnerable in a time of rebuilding?
I look around at all of the opulence. Rebuilding. If this blight is short, you won't have much rebuilding. You won't be touched. Your whole empire will still stand firm. The Tevinter might not be so lucky. You might just, if we're dealing in this game of what ifs,
I suppose it depends on which directions the horde decides to go. Do you know where they intend to travel next?
I can't guarantee. But if we have an army, that would be able to dissuade them from coming in one direction over the other. At least, less would come this way. We could prepare a southern attack, and if it doesn't work, well, we would meet them at the walls of Tevinter, wouldn't we?
I
May I,
suppose so.
may I interject something?
Okay.
Uh, one is
Yes. Ale who can speak without the pretense of spilled wine. A delightful refreshment, please. Grey Warden.
well, I believe it's common knowledge that your legacy is a very important topic to you.
It is important to me that the Devaliers continue our dynasty.
Of course. But I imagine it's not just lineage. All who sit on a throne or wear a crown want to be remembered as greatness.
Yes, it's true.
Then consider this. Were you to unequivocally put your support behind the Great Wardens, and rather than dance this dance, were to give us what we need, perhaps more, and we were able to take those resources, march against the Darkspawn, destroy them utterly before any further damage could be done. Think of how your name, will go down in history. If you were to do so, it would not simply be the Grey Wardens who ended this blight. It would be Orlais itself and the Grey Wardens.
I see what you are getting at, and I am not opposed to the scenarios that you propose. I will say, as the Grey Wardens, you have the unequivocal support of me, of House de Valle, of everything I can do to help. I shall, of course, send as much of my personal guard as I can. However, uh, it is something of a question as to what the other houses could send. I cannot conscript those sworn to other houses. So I suppose the best I can do is say that you have my leave and support, to petition the other houses for as many soldiers as they care to send.
Majesty.
Do
And
you?
so,
Oh,
Garrick,
sorry.
you have the focus in political intrigue, yes?
Yes.
Go ahead and give me that roll. Anyone else who has anything similar, also give me the roll.
I was gonna say I'd also like for him, since he knows or has the numbers for all these houses, to tell us what their overall numbers are, so that when he shows us how much support he's giving, they can have a. Your emperor is doing X amount. Whatever.
Okay.
You.
I was actually going to, Your Majesty, if you stated before all the noble houses that you were going, I'm sorry, Your Majesty, if you said that you would, yes, I can't do it, Brody, but I am mimicking his accent perfectly.
Okay.
If you would say that you would be leading your forces yourself, how could the other houses not throw themselves into this resistance against the Blight?
Well, so let's see what Garrick, how did you do on that roll?
Really, really well. That's 3, 5, so that's a 20.
Well done. All right. So, with that good of a roll, you can tell, so you can tell a couple things, to address Harold Wynn's suggestion. Um, so this is medieval aging rates, and so this guy is mid to late 40s. He is not suited to lead any army. He's gotten a little old, a little creaky, a little arthritic, maybe even a little gouty, based on his diet. What?
No. I'm thinking with my hands. Sorry.
It's his Italian coming out.
I know. Well, it looked like the what the fuck gesture, and I'm like,
No.
it's
Yeah.
changed
Sorry.
his for a reason.
No. It was not that at all. Words in my
Okay.
head.
So sorry, picking up the thought where I dropped it. So he himself is not suited to run an army, and with a 20, you would understand that he would be reluctant to leave the capital until he had secured his succession. And so the other thing that you pick up is he wants you to, and of course, wardens are beyond politics. They do not.
Oh shit! I've been playing it wrong.
I have a perfect idea for
But-
this rather than that.
He only wants to send so many of his soldiers. He only wants to commit to so many. And what he really wants you to do is to petition each noble family for more armies and just sort of gently weaken each of them in turn so they are less of a threat to him.
That's part of the reason why I was asking for his numbers, because I was going to inflate them.
Okay.
And also, wait, you said Brody gave me an idea. Rather than sending him, and you can send your queen to be your cheerleader.
To be your
Right.
representative in the field, so that they know that the Orlesian Empire is willing
Is
to put in-
behind you 100%.
All right.
Are you
I
proposing
have
that in
to-
character? Because Raylath has a very strong objection to that.
Right, and as storyteller, I need to ask, are you suggesting, hey, if you send your queen to the front line, she'll die and solve all your problems?
I didn't say that. I was just saying Brody's
that what-
statement gave me the idea of that
Is that what you are intimating in character?
No, because Garrick likes people to be alive except for him.
Okay, because you have no idea how she would do as a war leader.
Oh, no.
Harold might, you have no idea.
I personally was meaning it entirely as, yeah, you send her as like your cheerleader.
I mean, Harold was
Because
suggested because it's a good idea. It would represent the Empire, but also it might give us a chance to weaken his throne. But that's just Harold.
So I'd like to jump in with a question. This is actually an idea that Jurgen posed to me out of character, and I think it's a good idea. So I just want to give credit. Um, would I know whether or not blood magic or magic in general, can be used to affect the gender of a baby before it's born?
Uh, so I would say not necessarily gender. This isn't Dune. But you could absolutely use blood magic to create fertility magic. So, go do the thing. Absolutely gonna get knocked up. What gender? 50-50.
Two offspring's better than one.
Is there? That's true. That does increase the chances. Is there any way of? Is there any kind of like sort of soothsaying, like kind of fortune telling related magic that you could do to maybe get a sense for whether or not a child is going to be born male or female?
That is a good question. Um, Give me 2 seconds
Sure.
to look over the divination. Uh, divination. Why are you being so difficult? That one.
See that Garrick and Harold are like, "Fuck you, kings," and Rayleigh is like, "Nope, nope, 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 stop."
All right, so there's no divination school of magic. There's nothing about telling the future. However, that's not to say that you couldn't do a huge fake out.
would Raylath be willing to do a fake out?
Because even if you're wrong, so because you've got two women, one of whom is clearly pregnant, maybe about a month away from giving birth, um, or even closer, like weeks. Um, and then another one who knows? Um, you could absolutely do a huge song and dance.
No, because looking at the ramifications of that, if I say like, oh yes, the currently pregnant mistress I don't know which.
Florentina.
Florentina, thank you. I know Karine is the other one. I just didn't know which one was pregnant. Um, like if I say Florentina is definitely going to give birth to a boy, I mean Karine might decide to kill her. The Emperor might decide to kill Karine, get rid of her, like, or vice, could go the other way around. And Raylath's not willing to throw these women under the bus for the sake of this.
Fair.
So, okay. All right. Well, speaking of, as I mentioned earlier, legacy, I have two questions for you. The first being, do you have any particular houses in your court that might be in need of an outlet for any aggression or restlessness that they might be directing towards you and your house at the moment? The other question being, would you like guarantees that the lovely Lady Blanchard will also be gifted with a child?
Oh, well, a man's children are his greatest wealth in life. Of course, I would not ask my beloved to do anything she was not comfortable with,
Of course not.
but any magic she wishes to accept, You may do as you like, my dear, he says, patting her hand. And so you sort of see the other woman send the death glare, and the other one send like the fuck you look. So there's clearly tension and rivalry between these two women. Like you couldn't have guessed that yourself, but um
I'm going to say just really quickly, Lady Blanchard, if you would like to speak about that more in private, please let me know.
yes, we can. And so yes, to address your other questions, the Archambault family, they have been displeased with certain recent decisions made at court. Uh, I, I can see to it that you meet with Fernand de Archambault. Uh, he has a small force which he himself leads, and Heroine, you would know that he is talking about the Queen's twin brother.
Yep. Yeah, I caught the name.
Yeah. There is also Fernand's wife. She is of the Duma house. Uh, she might be able to put a little bit of extra weight on her husband. As far as anyone else, so my Corinne, she is of the Blanchard. Her family is mostly invested in the Chantry. Uh, and then Lambert, well, they provide the finest pleasures in life. They provide the wine and the cheese and the salt.
Would it be most efficient to have us establish a place where the different houses can come and speak with us?
I
Or
was just about to get to that. Uh, you should think of recruiting Sir Sir von Markham, he says, indicating the lightly armored noble. He has a battlefield professions. If there's anyone who should be leading a charge, it is him. And Garrick carrying forward your 20, you
Mm-hmm.
can tell that the addendum to that is so you can die and stop giving me problems.
Is that the same guy who was from Navarre who made the?
You have not spoken with him yet. You don't know.
Oh,
But
no, no,
that's a
no, no, no.
reasonable guess.
I was saying because you said that one guy visibly made an uncomfortable motion
Right,
at.
no. Yes. And I also gave you the name. Yes, same
and
dude.
also heraldry.
Okay, okay.
I will whisper in his ear if it's the guy.
It is the guy. So Tylus von Markham, I'll put that in the Discord.
Oh no, his rival might be a hero of the Blight, and then oh no, what will happen?
I mean, canon says one thing, but we already killed off the guy who ended the fourth blight. Um, and so, based on what Harold says, yes, I was getting to that. And so he turns to his other mistress and pats her on the hand, which death glare, preen, only in reverse now. Uh, yes, I am having a tournament in several days. Of course, everybody worth knowing will be in attendance to celebrate my uh, beloved's. Uh, uh, we hope it will be good news, though we not. Yes, of course. But there will be a tournament, uh, and you have certainly my leave and my blessing to speak to all the representatives of the houses. And as Emperor, it would be unseemly for me to intercede beyond my obvious support for your endeavors. So I do hope that, well, whatever arrangements you come are between you and the houses. I could not disrupt the great game more than that.
Very well, sir. Thank you for your time. It has been elucidating. And
Oh,
this is
great.
out of character. We did get an agreement for him to tell us how many, buffing his own numbers so that it will be more beneficial to send more from the other houses.
What a
Yeah,
disgusting
Yeah.
big particular poker game of resources.
Yeah.
yeah. So, having done my own amateur poking into the history of warfare, and playing way too much Crusader Kings too. Um,
No such thing.
uh, all right, so he's gonna tell you that he will provide 1,000 soldiers, which of course to our modern sensibilities is like, what? That's nothing. But this is medieval ratios, so 1,000 is pretty good. And it is a good number to use to leverage against the other families and the other houses. None of them, except maybe Archambault, will be able to meet 1,000, but it's a good aspirational benchmark. And so, excuse me, I have no idea where that came from.
Your
Um,
lungs.
I think from your lungs.
too much talking. Um, if you leave Valrio with about 5 or 6,000 soldiers, you will be in a really, really good position. So even if you leave with less, like 4,000, still good.
Okay. Sweet. Still gonna totally use that inflated number of 1,000 to try and make sure that they send as many as possible.
Absolutely.
Except for
Uh,
maybe uh von Markham, who will still somehow be good.
and so, what happens next is the Emperor looks around and says, well, I think we have discussed everything we wish to discuss.
Hmm.
Sounds
Yeah, that seems. It seems
comprehensive.
like we have covered quite a bit. If perchance we think of anything else, it won't be of relative or major importance, but we will just send a messenger if anything comes up.
And of course, I shall make myself available to the Grey Wardens. So, like, he picks up his napkin, dabs his little face, puts it down. And so he takes his leave, and by courtly manners, this means everyone else can now get up from the table. Um, he himself leaves. He takes Florentino with him. And so everyone else remains behind. The musicians continue doing their thing. No one, however, seems to be in the mood for dancing, but it has become essentially the hour of mingling. So if there is anybody who has caught your eye that you want to talk to, now is your chance.
I have an dwarf in mind, but I am happy to wait.
Anybody else want to go for Van Markham, or is that gonna be me?
You're the knight. You're
Go
the
you,
war.
man.
All right.
I'll talk to whoever you want me to talk to. I do want to talk to Kareen, but
You can start then. I've been doing most of the chatting for this.
well, I wasn't trying
well,
to wasn't trying to say I want to talk to her first. Just that of the people here, that's the person I'm interested in speaking to.
yeah.
All right, well let's start with Kareem. Because you did say that you wanted to speak with her privately. Um, and so once sort of everything breaks up and Kareem sends a death glare to the Emperor and Florentina breaking up, she looks at you, uh, Rayla, and then just sort of like moves to a corner And you can tell the idea is you two will be seen talking. So they just talked. They didn't leave together. They didn't do anything inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Where but you're also positioned to have a good line of sight on anyone trying to eavesdrop.
Okay. Um, is there? Sorry, unfamiliarity with these spells. Is there a detect magic spell that I would specifically have to use to tell if there were any like magical effects going on in our immediate vicinity? Or is that something I could just kind of do an arcane roll or a magic
Go ahead
roll
and
to
give
find
me
out?
an arcane roll.
Okay. Would spirit magic play into this?
Not really.
Okay. Not terrible.
Okay. You can sense a little bit of ambient magic. What you would expect for wards and excuse me and such. Let's ward the main hall so demons can't get in, just in case. Let's enchant the candles to burn a little bit brighter. That sort of stuff.
Okay, but nothing like that might have been placed around the room or on Kareen's like jewelry or whatever to like listen in to anything she might be saying or
Yeah, no, nothing hostile or espionage like that.
okay.
No magic bugs.
No
Exactly.
magic bugs.
Turn over all the lamps and check the base just to be sure. All right.
Yeah, and so the magic you're picking up is sort of what you would expect in a grand hall.
Gotcha. All right. Well, my lady, I do hope I didn't cause any offense earlier. I didn't mean to cast aspersions on anyone.
It is not my favorite position to be in, but I am doing what I can. Can I, what can I do to help the wardens?
Oh, it's more a matter of what we might be able to do to help you.
Okay, and looking at Corinne, you can see that she has, not necessarily, she's got some religious jewelry. So she's got like a couple necklaces about Andraste. She dresses very modestly. Uh, and so you can tell that either she's a very devout Andrastian or she wants people to think she is.
Right. Okay. I recognize the general idea of the situation that you're in. Obviously, you would like your family's standing to be elevated, were you to give the emperor a son and thus be named empress. I know that there are methods for guaranteeing that you are able to conceive, if that's something that you would be interested in.
Ah, I I appreciate the offer, but I hope you'll keep this to yourself. I am waiting to make a formal announcement to go after Florentina's child is known.
I see. Well then, I suppose congratulations are in order.
Yeah, I suppose to a certain extent.
All right. Well,
And so I'll give you this for free. You can tell that like she's not super enthusiastic about her position. It's entirely likely that her family has pressured her to be in this position.
Right.
And like obviously if she loses, where does that leave her?
Where is she in like the hierarchy of her family? Like, is
Uh
she? Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, so she does not rule her house. Her parents do that. And her parents have a couple adult children. And so her family, the Blanchards, send a couple children every generation to serve in the chantry as Templars, as revered mothers. Um, and they even brag that in their ancestry, there's been a former divine or two, divine being essentially the Pope.
Hmm. Okay. So do I get the feeling that she just doesn't want to be here at all, or she just doesn't like the situation she's in because Florentina is going to give birth first?
So it's Florentina's gonna give birth first.
Mhm.
And if it's a son, then
Then
she's
Karina's out.
fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is that what she doesn't like, that situation, or is it she just does she seem like she would rather not be here at all?
Uh, so she doesn't like that, clearly.
Right.
And also just doesn't really like that she's having to be obviously known as the Emperor's mistress.
Mm. I can see that being a problem for someone who's got like strong values
Yeah.
against it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna come right out and ask her what are your what would you do if Florentina gives birth to a son? What's your plan?
Uh, well, I suppose if it comes down to that, then I am reduced to finding suitors amongst dispossessed Antivans. And given that Antivan is right now a burning hole in the ground, that's
Hmm.
saying a lot. She's basically saying, like, no one will marry me unless they have no other prospects.
Okay.
And what of your family? What would your family's reaction be if that were to come about?
My family has promised that they will support me. That is something that I demanded assurances of before cashing the Emperor's eye. It would be silly of me to do otherwise.
Smart.
But I suppose if I cannot find an impoverished Antiva, then it is the Chantry for me.
What do you want?
Oh, what do I want? No one has ever asked me that question before.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I suppose, given everything else that is going on, and I want Ole to be safe. I want my family to be safe. I want my child to be safe. And other than that, I have studied the history of Theros, Grimwarden. I know that every time there is a blight, it resets the map, so to speak. I suppose if I am being extraordinarily calculating, uh, I would want my family to be able to benefit from social revision.
I noticed
Nobles are brought low, and the low are raised high, every single one.
I noticed you don't say anything about what you want for yourself, though.
is not a question that I am used to. What do I want for myself? I want good tea in the morning. I want a family of people who care about me. I want to leave this world for the maker's side, knowing that I have made things a little bit better for the Blanchards who come later.
Hmm.
I suppose if I was going to do anything, I would just like to marry someone who wants to marry me.
Did you have any suitors before you caught the Emperor's eye?
Eh,
Any prospects?
zero, one, or two, but well, things have changed, opinions have changed. That is why any prospects I have now come from either Antiva or becoming a bride of the maker himself.
Hmm. All right. Well, your family has pull in the chantry here, correct?
Eh, I would not I would not characterize it as pull, but we send donations to them every year. And in exchange we have their ear when it needs to be.
Would that be something that we might be able to rely on if we need to request any, without demanding it, if we needed to request assistance from the chantry, would you be able to use their ear to make them more receptive to that request?
I could I could possibly convince them to release my commander Alrun from his local obligations, give him leave to seek glory in the Maker's name uh, by vanquishing the Darkspawn Horde. I could do that. Uh,
All right. Well, it may not be necessary, but it's good to know what our avenues may be. So, thank you for your time. And regardless of the political implications, congratulations again. I hope that you and your child both find whatever happiness you can.
you have my sense. I shall tell them that they were blessed by a Grey Warden.
All right. And then I will turn the floor over to someone else while I think about things.
All right, what about your game? You've been quiet.
Have been. Oh, I am muted. Yeah, politics is not Jurgen's thing, so he's just kind of sitting and observing, listening, kind of taking everything in. But as everything's kind of breaking, I'll just kind of wait and catch the dwarf on the way out.
Sure. So you just sort of wander by the dwarf's table where he's somehow found a barrel of just that atrocious mushroom ale
No.
and is serving it amongst his retinue. And so the dwarves among them, about half of whom have the face tattoos, uh, they love it. It's a taste of home.
Sure.
The humans in his retinue, who, as you look at them, you're like, you're kind of rough. Yeah, you're kind of rough. That's not a battle scar. That's a street fighting scar. Um, are trying to tolerate it. And so you walk by, and he's like, Grey Warden, come, have a mug with us.
I'll walk over.
They just shove a big leather mug of mushroom ale in your hands. Says, to the Grey Wardens and all you do. Huzzah! Huzzah! Huzzah!
Huzzah. This reminds me of organ time.
Reminds you of which?
Where were we before? The dwarven place?
Orton Tig.
Oregon Tide, yeah. Reminds me of there. I'll say that out loud to the dwarf.
That reminds you of Orton Tig.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Orton Tig. 3 cheers for Orton Tig. And he's clearly trying to deflect from any emotion by, like, getting people to, like, cheer and drink more.
You are not from here, correct?
I am not, sir. My name is Derek, and I am from a very prominent, noble house of traders from the Tides.
Noble House of Traders. Interesting. Who did you betray?
Like coughs on the mushroom ale. Like, I'm sorry, excuse me, sir.
You said Noble House of Traders?
Merchants, my friend, merchants.
Traders. Understood. Traders. But your tattoo, is that not a indication of...
It's an affect, and he cuts you off. It's an affectation, nothing more. Maybe we should have this conversation in private.
You do not wish for people to know?
No, come with me, come with me. Walk the gardens, walk the gardens. The rest of you stay. We'll breach another cask.
I'll kind of start walking. If this is an assassination attempt, I ask you to please not do this.
So you get about 10 paces away, about, safely out of earshot,
Sure.
and he's like, I'm not gonna fucking try and assassinate the Grey Warden. I'm not that dumb.
Oh,
Alright, fine, you made me. I knew this would only last for so long. You've been to the Tigers, you know who I am, or what I am, whatever. What do you want?
I was merely inquiring. Kind of, this thing is branded into my forehead, so I
Right.
don't want much. I don't want anything. I just inquiring.
Alright, look,
you're
I've got
you're
a
a lord.
really good thing going on here.
Oh,
Nobody knows who I am. I can pull the wool over everybody's eyes. Sure, my dwarves know, but they're all in on it. I keep them paid, I keep them fed, they're happy. So what do you want?
we need assistance in securing resources for the Grey Wardens, as always.
Alright, fine. Shit. Alright, I've got a little bit of ale coming up from the Tig in not that long. There's a couple ships coming in from Ferelden. I don't know, some of them got diverted. Fuck if I know what that's all about. But, should have
I
some
bel-
goods, a little bit of silverite.
is it possible that you could contribute information as opposed to resources?
Well, j- just so we're clear here, Grey Warden. And as he's talking to you, you sort of realize he's not used to dealing with Tranquil. He just thinks you're another weirdo surface dweller. Look. In case it wasn't clear, I do smuggling things. Information, can I get that to you? Maybe. Goods, lyrium, I can get you so much lyrium. You a mage, you have the look of a mage. I can get you lyrium for days.
I was a
Months,
mage.
weeks.
No longer.
How do you stop being, wait, you can stop being, oh, I heard about you, people like you.
I will-
So, do you have authority?
I carry with me the same authority as any Grey Warden.
Uh, well, if lyrium's still useful to you, I can get you a lot of that. I mean, maybe it's not useful to you personally anymore, but sell it, trade it.
This could be useful. I
Just,
will think it through. You'll be around, I assume?
just don't blow my cover. I'll be around as long as you need me to be around.
Kind of just look. I have no desire to change anyone's perceptions of you.
Excellent. Time to go back in then. And so just leads you back to the dining hall, claps you on the back, laughing a little bit, and then returns to his entourage. And you can tell just starts spinning this yarn about everything you talked about that is completely inaccurate.
I'll just and find my Grey Wardens.
Okay.
This is, yeah.
Garrick, who would you like to talk to?
Garrick is talking to. Let me find his name. Sarah von Markham.
Okay.
Markham.
All right, Sir Tylus von Markham. And so he's just sort of nursing a glass of wine, uh, totally clean plate in front of him. Says, "Ah, Captain,
Warden Commander, yes. So, what did you do to get on his bad side?
what did I do? I did nothing. It is who I am.
And who are you, Sir Markham?
I am, as you say, Sir Tylus von Markham. I made something of a name for myself fighting in the most recent Exalted March. Uh, but more than that, this is not something I can control. It is merely what the Maker has blessed me with, to be a direct descendant of Contilius Dracon himself and a rightful heir to the throne of Navarre.
Do I need political intrigue to know if that's true? Or is this just speculation on his behalf? That
So
is?
if he is actually, you get this for free. If he is actually a descendant of Contilius Dracon, sure, that does give him a claim onto the Navarran throne. Um, is he? That would require a lot of work in archives and genealogical records to verify.
Also, Navarre is currently not an independent nation.
Yes, Navarre is currently part of the Orlesian Empire. It is a province within them.
So if somebody was the rightful king of a province, they're not. They're actually kind of arguing for secession.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay.
Kings don't. I understand empires don't like it when parts of empires try and leave empires.
Yeah, something like that.
Hmm. Well, perhaps this blight might be useful to you then.
All
We,
you had to do was ask.
if a decorated hero did join our ranks and helped us out, it would give much more claim for you as you independently helped us to stop this blight. Who knows? Maybe you would end up as the golden child of this. Wait, we're in the fourth, right? Third.
Fourth blight.
Fourth. We're on the fourth. Okay. You might be known as one of the driving forces that ended this blight. That sounds like a kingly task.
And we are in agreement. I bring my 600, you give me good command. More than just that, more than just that 600.
Oh, I think that the Emperor has given us a few extras that we could throw into your armies.
And I hope I can say this without causing offense. I do not wish to be conscripted. I have plans for my life after Sublight.
Fair enough. You may go about whatever tasks you had preordained for yourself, and we will take your 600. I put up my hand.
He will give you that nice, strong warrior shake.
It is a pleasure to be here in your presence, Sir. Hold on, I need to remember this. Tylus von Markham?
Yes.
Sir Tylus von Markham of Navarre.
All right. And you can tell that you've probably affected the local political landscape just a little bit with this agreement.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Harold, was there anyone that you wanted to speak to?
Um, they took care of the main ones. Um, but nobody has said somebody should speak to all the people doing the work.
Okay. Uh,
We have a type. We all have our jobs.
all right. So, what information in particular are you looking for?
Um, I'm trying to get a better read about the intricacies of these different players.
Okay.
Um, Also, who might have some secrets worth digging into that might make them more pliable.
All right. Go ahead and give me a communication roll, please.
Deception? Or.
Uh, Not unless you're trying to lie to anyone. You're just trying to like like hang out in the kitchen and gossip, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Uh, Animal handling, deception, and performance are my only specializations in communication.
Yeah, none of those really apply.
Oh, gonna have to pick some up. Let's see. One other thing, I am going to be keeping an eye on those minstrels.
Okay.
And may even see if they follow me a little bit if I step out of sight. Oh, well,
Okay. So, uh, it's not a terrible roll. So one thing that I will give you, uh, so, um, you learn that Queen Delphine, the sort of disgraced empress now in the Chantry, you've heard about her twin brother Fernand a little bit. And you get a little more gossip in that he's trying to force a reconciliation between the emperor and the empress. Like, stop fucking around. You're legally married. Act like it. Uh, and so Fernand is trying to use the Chantry to censure the emperor for the way he's been behaving. And it is currently being blocked by Corinne's family, the Blanchards. So he's using his influence with the Chantry, they're using their influence with the Chantry, and essentially have each other in a stalemate. Uh, if Florentina's child is a son, they might relent and they may be like, oh yeah, you know what? You're right, this is all totally fucked up.
okay.
Hmm.
So basically, they've got they win. They could potentially win either way, or at least they have a way of making their people suffer terribly if they don't win.
Essentially, yes.
Um, Out of curiosity, do the servants have an idea of where the Empress, like where in the many buildings that the Chantry controls that she might be living?
So they do not know because she is no longer at the palace, but she would probably be in the main chantry in Valroyo. It's a really elaborate, beautiful complex.
Hey, well, if we need somebody to go in and talk to her, I actually can make that happen.
Okay.
I can bullshit my way like I am a true believer.
All right. And so with that, the afternoon winds down. You have gained a lot of information, a little bit of leverage, some more leverage, a couple armies. And so you know what you have to do now, over the next couple days, leading up to the tournament. So, with that, thank you, my wonderful players. Is there anything before we end that you want to ask or clarification on?
I just have a few things to do the next time we get together.
Excellent. All right, so to everybody in chat, stick around because in just under an hour, we've got Curse of Strahd. She is the Ancient, where I believe you are preparing for the final showdown. It should be good times. And if you want more Dragon Age content, come by on Wednesday as I play through Dragon Age Inquisition. Should be good times. I'm currently trying to level up to take on In Your Heart Shall Burn. On Friday, we're going to have the Electric Memory Blade Runner campaign. It's been a lot of fun. Replicants on replicants on replicants, and corporate warfare. It's a Blade Runner game. So follow on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I don't know. Social media is such a dumpster fire right now. But I'll do my best to post
Threads.
updates. I know, it's terrible. It's terrible. But if we just want to do one quick round of who you are and when we can see your face next on the internet, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Steve, pronouns he, him. Tonight I played Jurgen, who is very out of his element. Not good on politics. However, tune in Friday, where I will be playing in Electric Memories, where I will be speaking as much then as Jurgen does not speak on Mondays, because Cassius is the only one keeping this thing going, according to him. So, so tune in.
Well, my name is Devin. I have been Garrick, the... How the hell am I trying to make armies? I'm a blacksmith. Grey Warden Commander. And next time you'll see me is also on Monday.
Hi everyone, I am Brody. I have been playing Harold Wynn, who has been feeling the challenge of trying to behave in the middle of the Emperor's palace. Going to have to take it out later. But if you'd like to find me, please take a moment to look me up on Friendster or MySpace, because time is a circle, and I am sure we will be coming back to those social media sites very soon.
Hi everybody, Ben Ravensdale. I've been playing Raylaf, the elf mage. You can find me in about just under an hour in the Curse of Strahd game that was mentioned earlier. So if you want to see my giant bat person barbarian character, check us out. You can also Batbarian, yes, exactly. Barbadian, Barbadian, yeah, something. I don't know. There's puns in there. But you can also find me on its YouTube channel called The Transverse. I am GMing a superhero series, so if you want to check that out, it's The Transverse is the YouTube channel. So check that out too. Thanks for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you all so much again. And yeah, stick around for Curse of Strahd. Should be good times. If not, we will see you all next week. So goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Brody, if we end up back on MySpace, do we have to start cultivating our top 8 again?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Alright. Yay! Bye, everybody.